Hello everyone. This is Malo. Today, with another video, as you can see, we are going to have a little bit of an educated guess, as I'm a programmer myself, game programmer, unemployed at the time of the recording, but I wanted to give a little bit of my take, my opinion into this whole matter, what it means, what it entails, what it insinuates as the whole situation in this regard, and we may expand into some tinfoil hat theory as well, just for the fans of it, or maybe not really the fans, but maybe it's true. Who really knows? So I'm pretty sure everyone is aware right now that they have explained, as you can see here on this tweet, that they are only giving one star tab to everyone extra because they cannot really risk giving more because it affects the loading times and affects the already bad rub bombarding we experience. Now, if we look at it as a design, this means that every time that you log into somewhere, you have to load up everything. There is a chance, right? There is a chance that this may have been part of it, and maybe we're not entirely truthful here. Let me just put the right hat for this kind of talk. We are putting our tinfoil hat here, right here. So, with the tinfoil hat strapped on, we are aware now that we are equipped to talk about this kind of things. So, I want you to understand now that I may am too deep with this theory. So, what do I think has happened into this game? Diablo 4 originally was never meant to be open world, in the meaning of you meeting other people in the world. That idea most likely came later on, way later on, and I believe that it mostly was affected by Lost Ark. Because when they saw what Lost Ark had the potential to do, the executives were, hey, boy. Like the moment that they were aware that you could have these kind of things in the game and make it more like an MMO, make it more like World of Warcraft, you will have way more avenues of monetization and everything. Fuck the battle pass. You can have like so much more things like WoW token and everything, right? Who knows what else? Which, to be honest, the microtransactions are already too crazy high. It's like you're paying for the ones in Lost Ark, which have like crazy special effects. And these microtransactions in the game at the moment, they don't have anything. So we bypass this, and I'm expanding into the idea now. As I said, the game on its inception until farther into development was never meant to be a fully world online experience with other people. I believe that they just wanted to do Diablo 3 but with different aesthetic, have its campaign, and be able to play like this. Which, to be honest, is what most people were expecting, right? They were expecting this to be like that. But it's so much harder to sell it as a live service game when you have pretty much like you never see anyone else, like, right? You would have to sell it as this is a world that you meet other people, even though right now in the game it's a facade, right? Now, to be fair, they never really advertised it as such. Oh my god. I just saw I just saw the Twitter thing there. So, what is the next thing that I want to talk about? Because this is not just one thing. we have some pieces, right? And with the power of the tinfoil hat, we can fuse them, right? Somewhat. So we have the one thing here that we are saying it's the star stub, right? We have the star stub, and normally this would work just fine if you were alone in the world and you will just have to load up the people that you will party with, right? Or maybe the people that you were going to the same world bus with. This was before the idea of you gonna have hell tides and living world and everything like that, right? So if we say that we wanted to take it in that way, then it will be so much easier to just leave everything alone, people not interact with each other, and the game will just function normally. And I believe it is also a big reason why in this supposed hybrid MMO you have actually negative social features. You have like no social features. It's impossible to see this game and just like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna play with a random person or something. There is no chat, there is nothing. Because the game is already struggling as it is. I believe that's why they don't add chat. It was the same with Lost Ark. With Lost Ark, the moment that you will get extra frames was if you silence the global chat. Because there was so much data going on that you were getting affected by the global chat. Now, what is more than that, right? We right now we just have this theory about what they just said. But what if we add two more things inside? Two more things inside. What if we add inside what change they made in this season? What was the quality of life that everyone loved about this season? That you can go into your dungeons from the city, right? Now, I want you to understand the way this game works is that when you're moving from a different area to a different area, each area you are connecting to a different place in the server. So the workaround for the first day of season one to not get crazy rubber banding and die to anything in the road if you're playing hardcore, the workaround around that was to not go to the popular destinations and try to do the workaround with a longer way. Try to do the stupid thing of going longer the way so you don't get too connected to everyone else that is just going to go to the fastest, most efficient way, right? And because they wouldn't go to the same areas, they were getting less rubber banding and everything. And that, if you really think about it, that sounds insane, but it actually worked. I saw a lot of people commenting about it, and it actually worked for them doing that. So we have that piece as well. But what that piece means, right? If they trying to make everyone to not have to go to different places all the time anymore, because before you had to go to the different places around in the map, you won't have to load up as much as differently all the time and experience this awful rubber banding. So what they're doing instead gonna be like, okay, we're doing it Diablo 3 style and maybe the original intended style of getting you all directly from the city to whichever dungeon you want to go. Because all you will have to do is go from the city to the dungeon. Now, why tinfoil hat, right? I am equipped. I can say this. Why Joe froze to the question, why did you add 2 extra seconds of teleport going back to the city? What if those 2 extra seconds is to not make the servers go crazy and implemented as an extra loading screen for people to not feel as bad rubber banding the moment they're trying to go back to the city. But preloading, connecting to the server while they're still trying to teleport. So it won't feel as bad. Because otherwise, why would they ever add 2 extra seconds to something like this? It makes absolutely no sense for metrics, for anything like that. It makes no sense for anything else except extended time of loading. Now, I'm not saying this is bad actually. I'm saying it's pretty smart way. And maybe the reason they didn't want to talk about it was because they will have to debungle this whole other situation. Now, assuming that this is true, what is the problem with this developer coming out and say this on a tweet? Because as you can see on this tweet here, right? This tweet here actually doesn't have that much attraction. And anyone that knows about PR talk and everything knows where I'm gonna go with this. The way and the reason to answer such a big question on Twitter to a random person here. I'm actually not sure if it's someone, if it's a streamer or something, but yeah. I would say it's a random person asking a question like that very politely. He was no harm, right? Very politely. The reason to answer like this to that person, because there is no way they don't ask that question constantly everywhere. So what happened is they're they're answering the question to this tweet. You see how low attraction it has, right? Even though it will get on top of Twitter, it will get on top of this, on top of that. This is damage control, right? This is very much damage control because the person is minimizing the issue by just making a casual response to someone when I'm 100% sure on the campfire chat people will have asked this question but they never answered. And the reason is because there is still no solution. And what I described as them trying to change the way the game worked to like, oh yeah, you know what? We wanted to make Hell Titan these kind of things, kinda the thing that you wanted to do. But seeing the problem, the fundamental problem that this game right now has, we actually cannot do that. So we are kind of backpedaling into putting you doing the end game activities without getting all this extra grief every time that you will have to go to a place, seeing your horse teleport. Because when you're using the city as a hub, like you did in Diablo 3, you don't have to deal with any of the grief of going in the middle of the road, being reminded all the time the horse sucks, the horse sucks, the horse sucks. Being reminded all the time, oh, rubber banding, okay, I have to stop moving for 2 seconds so I can load up everyone. And all those things, and not to even mention the memory leak that could be related to this, all those things, I believe, are connected. And the reason that they're not really talking about it is probably because they still don't have an answer to that question. What is the problem with all of this right now? If they don't know how to solve this at the moment that they're doing a band aid fix, I still think it's better than doing nothing. Them addressing it like this is just minimizing the issue because this is one of the biggest problems the game has at the moment. And everyone bursted laughing the moment they said, "We are going to give you one star stub." I was like, "What the?" I couldn't believe it when I heard it, right? And then you know that something in this game, and I don't think it's the coding specifically here. This is most likely engine or fundamental issue on the coding of the game. And now, as I said again, I have the tinfoil hat on. This is speculation. There is a high chance on this being an engine limitation, or there is something so fundamental that they will have to probably dig deep into solving it because they will have to rework many other systems on how everything works securely. Because I think that is probably the biggest problem here, doing things securely. Because they, of course, they will want in such a game, they will want to avoid everything like item duplicate and everything like that that has happened to other MMOs. They will definitely will want to avoid that. So at the moment, we are into this stage of unknown. Even if people thinking, "Oh yeah, this is great, they addressed this," did they? They just acknowledged that the problem exists. They didn't really say what they're gonna do about it. They didn't really say anything else, and that is the biggest fear for me. The moment I saw this, I kind of lost a little bit of faith into how fast this would whole thing get solved. Because no matter how easy it may sound to solve a problem like this, if it is a really fundamental problem, and if you have to change so many things, this probably gonna take pro- place to a different season, or I want to be wrong, but there is a chance that this could be addressed to the next expansion because the team most likely are working still right now, the most part of the team, to the expansion. And if they start building around it to the new way of the system to work, to maybe be able to be also integrate more social features. And that is why you also see them being wishy-washy about everything that people are asking about social features. Oh, why don't we have this matchmaking leaderboards? I think generally they are super afraid to say anything because the moment that they put more stress into these servers, they're gonna explode. And I'm not sure specifically what could be the issue on this one, and it's definitely a problem when you have to load up everyone's inventory, and we don't even know if it's only the inventory. There is a chance that there was, because there was definitely less people from the launch day to season 1, and there was still crazy server issues on season 1. Did Blizzard decided to minimize the operation and have less servers? I don't think so. What if it was a problem that every time you had to log in, you had to load up the whole account with all the characters and everything like that? And it's not just your character, but it's like more generally, you have to load up someone's account. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but there is a possibility if they really mismanage this, the way that it will work for authentication reasons and other things, secure things, that it will have to work like that. Now we're taking the tinfoil hat off. As again, as I said, all of this was speculation, and there is no real way of knowing, even if you are the most amazing, experienced game programmer, unless you have worked directly at Blizzard and you know the way that they're doing specific things with the software, or they have specific ways of always doing something. You cannot know unless you have either experience with exactly what they're doing specifically in that department, or if you have, and I'm not saying like in any department in any other game studio, I mean specifically for Blizzard, the way that they do things, because all the people are in different studios are doing it different way because it's how they work there. You have seen it in pretty sure in many other jobs it's exactly the same. People, even though they're doing an expertise work, they still have the way we do it here. And I don't mean crunch and these kind of things, those have their place as well, but I don't mean that specifically here. How do you perceive this issue? Because for me personally, in my opinion, even though it's a tinfoil hat theory, it can really feel real if you look deeper into why some things exist and they're not explaining why. They don't have a plan. Obviously, this was just a tweet, and they're not gonna address this. I don't think on the next week we're gonna have an address this issue. And if they address this and they don't have a clear solution or a timetable, they could probably just deflect and lie with something else just to get some extra time and then fix it. It's really hard to say, and I can't really condemn the developers for doing this because it could be something that they're not even specifically their job to deal with this, because it could be the people that made this engine, and if this engine has such limitations that they didn't know about at the time that they picked up this project, they would most likely be able to see. Because I want you to understand, this is not just what I said so far, but you have to take into account that every time you walk into a different area, and I'm not saying a whole continent, but a different area, that you may get rubber banding, you're trying to load 12 different players. And I also believe that the moment that we had these very silent moments that no one was anywhere was because people were just going to a specific dungeon, and that was all. Because I remember when everyone was going to that specific dungeon, I forgot the name, when everyone was going to that specific dungeon and farming the levels, everyone was still getting rubber banding around that area. So that was a really hot area, and everywhere else in the world, you didn't really have many issues for a time. Now, this could work the same when people start, instead of going hunting around to go to random places, they go specifically to the town, and then they go directly to their dungeon, so they don't have to deal with this grief going to different places, everything freezing, rubber banding, and reminding of the bad experience that they're having outside of just killing demons. Now, all of those things, if you really sit down and look at this objectively, what is Diablo 4? What is the essence of Diablo 4? What did we have as a value on this game? Because obviously this is not a trash game. It's not like 0 out of 10 or anything. The thing is that this smells, really smells very strongly early access. But what is the problem here? They gave you the campaign. They gave you a good combat system, right? It is quite good. It is satisfying combat system and animations with music, and everything was complete, right? Obviously, the campaign itself is not complete, but they finished the campaign. So they had three fundamental things that you usually can say that you have in a game and you can publish it. But is this what an ARPG in 2023 should look like? I don't think so. And there is many things like very questionable choices, having these items that you're supposed to be an achievement to find this item. Who cares? Like, I still remember it was so bizarre. They were saying that these uniques, you are not meant to build them. Then what are you trying to do with them? Just collection? Put them cosmetic on you to show that you are lucky? At least Mirror of Calandra had like a purpose, right? It is a very hard item to get. And many still don't have it. Many still don't have it. Most of the player base don't even have that thing. But it's not because it's just a rare thing. It's also because it has a function. And that is kind of the fundamental difference that you see some things here. You're trying to see that if you think about it, you will say, oh, yeah, they had a good idea, but somehow they fumbled upon it, right? They failed for some reason. It feels very confused. Why would this ever an idea? Why would anyone want this? And that is the problem right now with this game. It just feels that it truly has no aim where it's going. It doesn't feel that it was made. And I don't agree with the sentiment that this game was made for casuals. That's kind of bullshit. It feels like this game was just made for a campaign, and then they were like, "Oh yeah, we will patch the other things later," because that's how it feels. Especially if you really see this objectively. The first season, people will ignore the hard dungeons to play normal dungeons, four people together, and grind as fast as possible because that was the meta and everyone was doing that. Well, not everyone, but most of the people that wanted to go level very fast, they were doing that. And when they were getting past the next dungeons, they will find another dungeon. And that's how the whole season zero was, to a point. And then eventually they will fight Uber Lilith, and that's how it was. Now, if you really think about it, is this a satisfying end game experience if you played season zero? Definitely, a lot of people will be blinded by their excitement for this game, and they will play one season and then maybe never play again. Others will be monetarily incentivized to like this game for a while because they had the drops and everything on their stream. And you can't really trust people that have obvious monetary benefit from you saying okay and compromising for the game because they also will get monetary benefit from you watching, from you not playing the game, but being okay, maybe this is not that terrible. And it's not that they gain anything from you buying the game, but you being interested in the game, that is their benefit because they're content creators, right? So they don't really sell you anything, but they want your time. They don't, like, if no one was caring about Diablo 4, no one will be making videos, no one will be making guides, no one will be making all these things. And that is kind of what we see actually with season 1. A lot of people actually leaving. I personally uninstalled from my computer the game. I still have it on my Xbox. I played today for a little bit, but I don't really feel that I will be able to take this game seriously unless I feel the moment I see it again that it's actually a complete game. And I don't think the vision of this game gonna be complete anytime soon. In my opinion, probably in a year or when the first expansion comes over, that is when we will have a more complete idea of what the game is. Till then, I will be playing Path of Exile. I started getting back to it again. A lot of the headaches went away. I'm definitely not good at the game, Path of Exile, but at least I know what I'm getting into. And it's not that I care about this Path of Exile versus Diablo 4. I really try to like Diablo 4. I really tried to like, but from the very start, if you see some content that I made, from the very start, this started to have a weird smell, a very weird smell. Not just from the gameplay, because from the gameplay you couldn't see anything. You wouldn't be able to do it. You had all these bait masters throwing baits with their reviews, the previews as well, that they will say this was an amazing game, and then you will see them go away in a month. The game is done for them. But you will be club minus 70, and me, club minus 90. So that is that. I hope this was somewhat educational to someone. They may wanted to see or hear opinion of a game programmer into this regard, into this situation. I hope you all have a great day. Cheers. If you like the video, like it. If you dislike the video, dislike it and say something about me being bold on the comments. If you like the content that I make, please throw a sub. Appreciate you all for taking all this time to watch this freaking rant. Have a great day.